Hello everyone, and welcome back to another YouTube video. As you see right here, we are doing, What If Marcy and Sasha Switched Where They Landed Part 4. And in Part 2 of this What If, Sasha was faced with a choice, to either continue working with Andreas, or to betray him and help the girls. In Part 3, we discussed if she helped with Andreas's downfall, and in this part, we'll be discussing if she helps with Earth's takeover. Sorta a what if of a what if, but really I couldn't tell which one Sasha would choose in part 2. As even though Sasha in the original timeline was an antagonist for 2 seasons and what finale if we're being generous, and the first 2 seasons, plus at least 10 years if we're not being generous. In this timeline, was never really considered an antagonist, just troublesome at times. And her lack of any character development might just be the thing to make her want to join the dark side. So, in true colors, Sasha fights alongside Andreas on the condition that no humans get hurt. Sasha then goes to have a sword fight with Anne, while the others are battling the Frobos. However, unlike the original timeline, Andreas can't threaten Sprig's life, as Anne has a friendship with Sprig like she does with Sasha and Marcy. Though Sasha is essentially a bad guy at this point, she still wants the best for her friends, so if Andreas kills Sprig, making Anne sad, Sasha might not want to work for him anymore. So once Polly puts the Calamity Box back down, so does Andreas put Sprig down. And Sasha admires Andreas using something that everyone cares about against them. In Sasha's eyes, she has been rubbing off on Andreas. So, everyone is arrested, and Marcy is prepared to become the Corps' host. In this episode, that was the new normal, but is now, well, what do I call this episode? And the Planters and Grime are in a jail cell. And until they turn around on the situation. Meanwhile, Marcy is being prepared to be the Corps' vessel, or to Sasha's knowledge, being given a new armor upgrade. As the soon-to-be helmet, dang it. Words. As the soon-to-be Darcy will wear the helmet, and it will be programmed to act exactly like Marcy when Sasha is within ear's reach. And Sasha would be none the wiser. Sasha, once the puppeteer, is now becoming the puppet herself. Meanwhile, with Anne and the other captives, Olivia and Yunnan, who have lied to Andreas about continuing to follow him, free everyone. They then come up with a plan to free Marcy, get the music box, and get out of there. Unfortunately, one of the cloak bots was spying on them, and reports everything he sees to Sasha. Olivia and Yunnan go to get the music box, ready to grab it once Anne, the Planters, and Grime run in with Marcy, but they get caught by Sasha, who tries to stop them. Meanwhile, with everyone else, they make it to the room where Marcy is being kept in, but then they are stopped by Andreas. And so a fight breaks out between the two groups. Eventually, Olivia and Yunnan take down Sasha and tie her to the Calamity Box pedestal, and go to help the others. Everyone else were in a losing battle, but then Yunnan enters the room and leaps at Andreas while screaming, causing Andreas to look over and get slashed right in the eye. While Andreas is tending to his wounds, everyone grabs Marcy and tries to leave. The Corps, however, who had been in the room the whole time, is furious, and decides to take matters into its own claws. It chases everyone through the castle, and then everyone decides to forget the music box and just to jump out the window and leave while they still can. Unfortunately, at the last moment, Sasha, who had finally untied herself, grabs onto Marcy at the last moment. One more thing before we move on to Turning Point, though. As the last time something like this happened in Amphibia, somebody to lean on randomly played, so why not here too? Anyways, in Turning Point, everyone is devastated by Marcy being taken and Sasha's betrayal, especially Anne. In fact, in that moment where Sasha was supposed to look through Anne's journal and cry, Anne might rip out a few pages out of anger. The giant robot army might also never come, as the as the first robot might not even get the chance to signal reinforcements, and even if it does, it may the army would still easily be defeated. As for Commander Anne, Sasha's streak of not being the commander of the Resistance in these what-ifs continues, as neither Marcy nor Sasha are there to lead the Resistance, and all the other options like Yunnan and Grime aren't that good of choices, so Anne actually stays the commander in this timeline. Fortunately, one of the main reasons she was such a bad commander in the original timeline was because she had a long break on Earth, having no idea how much Amphibia had in store. But Anne never leaves Amphibia in this timeline, and since there's no one left to cause drama in this episode, everyone can just destroy the factory and leave. Spryview would stay relatively the same, and in Sasha's Angels, or in this case Anne's Angels, when Mrs. Croker, Wally, Loggle, Maddie, and Toady get caught by the Marauders, Anne, having no one to stop her, goes back for them. She then gets immediately captured from there, and from there the episode goes the same. In Oldtown Road, Anne and Sprig would start to wonder what Valeriana meant by when she talked about the Mother of Alms. Then Polly remembers about the alms in Quarreller's Pass. The episode goes the same until the end, since Sasha's not there and no one else in the group at that time would have the guts to yell at Parisia, and so they never go to see the Mother of Ulm, and thus the episode Mother Ulm never happens. In Grime's pupil, since Sprig and Grime don't have any past tension, there was no fight at Utopia, and Grime didn't try to kill Hot Pop, Grime is able to train Sprig better. Not a whole lot better, but still better, and give him a better chance at beating Beatrix, but the episode stays relatively the same other than that. In The Root of Evil, when the extermination team shows up to Gardenton, they don't attack for some reason. Suddenly, we see Sasha being flown down by a mind-controlled Joe Sparrow. She tries convincing Anne to come back to the castle, but Anne doesn't listen to her. Then a fight breaks out. Yes, these are the same slides as earlier. Give me a break. Sasha and the Robot Army versus Anne, the Planters, Buff Loggle, and the Gardenton citizens. Though it's a close call, the robots are taken down and Sasha is tied up, and will be taken back to the Resistance headquarters for questioning. Along with that, Apothecary Gary and Gardenton join the Resistance. The Core and the King goes the same, since by now Marcy is now Darcy, but at the end, the two are informed of Sasha's capture. There's also something I wanted to tell you guys about this what if, but I couldn't find the place to do it, so I'm just going to do that now. The Core was originally against Sasha joining their forces, as it would mean that they would have to share resources with the humans when they took over Earth. But Andres convinced them that this could be used not as just extra military force, but also an extra effort to stop the prophecy. The Core allows it, but if this ended up being a mistake, Andreas would be banned from the Core. By the time this episode happens, though, Darcy has seen Sasha's potential and gives Andreas one last chance. Newts and tights and flight would stay the same, but during those episodes, Sasha has witnessed what had become of amphibious civilization. Entire towns were being destroyed in one fell swoop. Millions were homeless, and a few have even died. Andreas didn't tell her about this, so she gets angry, but not enough to turn over a new leaf. The three armies stays the same until the end, when Sasha asks if she can help fight in the war, and knows this is a lie to get her to set Sasha free, but they have a plan. They gave Sasha a helmet, which Sasha puts on without a second thought. Sasha then takes it off when she feels something slimy on the top of it. It was Gary's spores. By the time Sasha realizes what it was, it's too late. Gary's children have taken over her, and she can be used in the war. The beginning of the end also stays the same until the end. Sasha's mushrooms are shot off of her head, and she is now in control again. It is also at this time that Darcy captures Anne, the Planters, Grime, Olivia, and Yunnan. Sasha sees Darcy announce that the rebellion is over, and Sasha knows that isn't Marcy. It doesn't sound like Marcy, it doesn't act like Marcy, it isn't Marcy. Andreas broke the deal, and thus Sasha finally turns over a new leaf. Domino, too, flies down to her, and they both fly up to the castle. Then, as Darcy is about to kill Anne, Sasha shows up at the balcony and throws her sword right through the wire connecting the core to Marcy. And thus, Darcy shuts down. Andreas tries to attack Sasha for the betrayal, but then everyone else started to attack him. It's everyone versus Andreas. There we go. Where was I? And eventually, Andreas is defeated. No big surprise there. Marcy was laying on the floor the entire time, witnessing the entire battle. She also happened to witness the core helmet walking away while everyone was distracted fighting Andreas. Once the battle is over, she tells everyone about it. The core jumps off Marcy's window and is about to jump to the moon and destroy Amphibia, but then gets shot clean through with an arrow from Sasha's crossbow. And that, my friends, is how this What If ends. Who would have known that Sasha's betrayal would have actually ended up making it a better timeline? Like, for instance, when in the last episode, she didn't betray them, and Earth and Amphibia were cut off forever. But in this timeline where she did betray them, that's not the case. The gems are still there. In fact, none of the girls even know about the Calamity powers. They haven't been activated in a very significant way. The only times they've been activated were for like 0.1 seconds in the very first episode. That one time Marcy saved a sprig from the giant ant. Actually, that never happened, never mind. And when Anne defeated that veggie monster in the very first episode of season 2, but so yeah, they haven't been really activated in a significant way. So the